Are you the best footballer in the world right now?
I think so, yes. In my mind, I'm always the best. I don't care what the people thinking, what they say. In my mind, not just this year, but always, I'm always the best. I'm always going to say that.
Welcome to Level Up Talks. No matter how far away your goal is, disappointment and frustration are binding you, there is always hope. There is always the one who cares, the one you love. There is always a way to level up.
So we're going to talk about how we're going to start a podcast.
Welcome, Dave, as a guest on Level Up Talks. It's awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Happy to do it here in this space. You want to talk a little bit about Fractal and what it's all about and what your vision was?
Yeah, I think it's still evolving, but I left my previous job because it was, just didn't feel right, and started to look around at what was happening, and there was lots of great change going on. And I guess I've always liked sort of building physical structures, and to tell you the truth, we used to host parties, and I would notice how people were affected by the environment. So I've always sort of had a mixed personality of a bit of introvert, a bit of extrovert, and I found that if the environment was adapted, it made people feel more comfortable. So I've always loved that process of like changing the environment. And then we started to see what happening with co-working, and it was still in its infancy. And so I decided to build my own. And so Fractal is kind of a crazy name, but it's a combination of design and technology and human things like plants and all those things that I think we're coming back to. We start to realize what matters to us. So this is still a testing ground. We're watching customers and talking to them and seeing how when we change things, how it affects them. We're still in the infancy of technology, and so yeah, it's I guess the new world of work, and this is where I want to work. So I built it for myself, and hopefully people like it. Well, things are changing, and so we don't try to pretend to have all the answers. We test things and we listen to our customers, and there's lots of change taking place.
Where did you learn that, Dave?
From you, actually.
That was not set up.
No, but truthfully, we started talking with people like Brad and said, what would you want? He said, I like a couple days a week. So our first iteration of this credit system was you would buy a day. So you would get 4 days for a certain price. And then we started seeing how people were using them, and they would stay for the day. And then I talked to Brad. I said, "So is it working? Like, do you find it valuable?" And he said, "Yeah, but I stay for the day because I've paid for the day." Mm-hmm. So it was another element of forcing people to do things that they don't want to do. And so we realized that moving to the hour is what we needed to do. So we moved to the hour, and then we started to say, well, why would we limit it to one area? Mm-hmm. So we said, well, let's try to learn how to associate credits with different environments, so that we have, right now we're selling for $99 20 credits or 20 hours in a lounge area. And our lounge area also has private phone booths, so that's the one element.
Which I love.
Yeah, that's a Kingston company, actually, Snapcab, that we've partnered with. So
I was wondering where you got those from.
Yeah. There's lots of amazing Kingston companies that are doing spectacular stuff. So then we've said, okay, well, how much is a private office? So we're trying 4 or 5 credits per hour, and then a meeting room, because you could have 5 people here, there are 6 credits per hour. We want to also be able to put your credits towards an event. So if you want to hold a little event, we have a space out there. So that's been the newest iteration, and it seems to be working. People are finding it. We've taken away the resistance, so people feel comfortable buying it, and so we're selling them, and we want to continue to do that. So.
Yeah, I love the evolution.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the biggest problem that business owners have is number one, they don't ask for feedback, and when they get feedback, they take it personally as opposed to learning from it. And we've definitely had many conversations about the business model of like, anytime anything goes wrong in our workplace, in our little house, we celebrate it. We actually get really excited when errors happen, because when an error happens, it means that we're progressing and we're going to put something in place. So we celebrate in our office when a mistake is made, and we realize, wow, this is a great opportunity for us to pivot and put something into effect so that this mistake doesn't happen to another client again. And it's just allowed our business to evolve organically and keep growing and making our processes and systems better. And And two, I think it's good for the staff because everybody's human. There's going to be human errors. There's going to be mistakes. And so, if you have good staff members in place, they're going to beat themselves up way more than you're ever going to beat them up. So, it's good to know that they don't feel like they're going to get criticized and fired over it.
Yeah.
That it's actually turned into a positive spin where we make the place
That's
better.
what I want to see happen. I mean, I think business has done a really good job at asking consumers for feedback, but they don't implement. Well, not even that. It's they're not asking their employees for authentic feedback, or they're not creating an environment where employees feel comfortable giving it because of potentially what happens. Right? If I'm honest with you, what are you going to do? If I tell you that this isn't working for me and it's stressing me out, what are you going to tell me?
Yeah.
That's too bad. Get another job. That's not really creating an environment where you can actually have an impact and actually create a better environment, therefore, for your customers.
Yeah,
So
totally
anyways, I
agree.
think that's a really good thing that you're doing in terms of,
The other thing is that humans generally don't enjoy the process of telling truthfully how the experience went. And I think that's a dangerous thing that companies, you go to a restaurant, they ask you how the meal was, you always say it's good, even if it's not. So the tough part is to truly get the honest information. And most of the time, customers know more about the business than the business.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so that's a very dangerous reality, is that they're telling you it's okay, but they're not. The reality is if they're coming back for repeat business, then that's the proof. If they come once, they're like, oh, it was great. They're probably not telling you the truth. They come back again, they're interested in something, and then they say if they come back a third time, they're in.
Yeah.
So we recognize that we really try to watch them, watch their body language. Are they happy? And then talk to them. But truthfully, you often don't get the information. So that's a tough part.
So you think watching is better than talking?
I don't know. I don't know. Body language does usually indicate. You can see when they're uncomfortable. You can see things, and even with staff, it is a scary thing to be truthfully honest about things, and so you have to build that trust.
You know what I learned from getting to know you, Dave, is actually being vulnerable is the actual skill to get that vulnerability back.
Yes.
Right.
So when we first connected, that was one thing that I don't know why it happened, but we were very just transparent and we just had real conversations right from the beginning. And as a result, we call each other out on stuff, right? And we're just honest about things. And I think you can do the same thing with customers and your employees. Have any thoughts on that? Do you think vulnerability plays a big role?
When I walked up, when we talk to a customer honest, say, truthfully, we're building this. We don't know all the answers. So if you were in a restaurant, you said, listen, we're experimenting with this dish. We really truthfully want to know, is it too spicy, is it too hot? So you're going to them and saying, we're working on this. Could you help us build this together?
Right.
So our customers, we say, we'd love for you to help us build this. Then it changes the whole dynamic.
Right.
Oh, you really want to know?
Right.
Yeah, like, is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is there too much sun? They're like, okay, yeah. Then they give you the goods.
Yeah.
Even with the staff, I say to them, I don't know exactly. I have some ideas. And so it's the way you present it.
How important do you think environment plays into culture, Dave? I mean, specifically to your business right now, but do you feel as though like you're having an impact on the businesses that participate in membership?
Yeah, I think so. I don't try to control the culture. I try to make the environment comfortable and safe and fun, and then we introduce people. We do something called business concierge, so we listen to what you're trying to go through. So
is culture different than environment, or does environment impact culture?
That's a good question.
I don't have all the answers.
No,
I think they're the same, essentially. Well,
is there overlap?
I don't know. So okay. I personally think that the environment does help the culture. Like if this space was all, felt like a hospital, the culture is going to be different than all of the creativity, the inspiration, this really great wall that you have here, the live plants that you have in the building. I think all of the environment does help with
Makes
the
you feel different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the water.
It does. Yeah, it does.
We talked about this earlier. Even your water it's not water. It's,
infused.
It's infused
Orange
with
infused
orange
water today.
infused,
Yeah. Yeah. It's the little things that matter. It's the little things that, because I think you're telling the customers that you care about their experience. And that creates a caring culture without even being aware of it.
Yeah, and we use the word hospitality around here, but truly the root word of hospitality is to host. So we try to host very well here, meaning we set up the environment, we make sure it's comfortable, the music's right, everything's. After that, the energy in the room finds its own sort of place.
Right.
Yes.
So we don't try to control the culture here, but we set a tone and a feeling. And we also have values. We don't allow certain things to happen here. So we try not to be evil. We try to be kind and honest. And so that natural energy kind of spreads itself.
Yeah. But
And
that is your culture.
yeah, sure. And I've also let go of control. So this doesn't have to be all about me. That we can let it adapt a little bit. And if it goes in the wrong, I think humans, we know inherently what the right thing to do. And we don't need to control that. But if it did get offside, I'd say that's wrong. That's wrong. That shouldn't be
You
happening.
touched on this a little bit earlier, Dave, but I wanted to dive a little deeper into it. I mean, you talk about hospitality and host. We've had conversations when we were getting to know each other of why the importance of hosting is important to you. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about that? Like, what have your experiences
Well, I grew up in a small town, and we were sort of physically in the middle of the town, and my dad believed in community and doing good things, and we would host all kinds of things. So I guess culturally, in our family, we were hosts, and we always tried to host good events because the act of hosting a party has massive impacts on people. They make relationships, they have fun, they let go of things. So I guess hospitality, I also love the feeling of good service. So when I go to a business that truly cares about me, I love it. I'm obsessed with good service. So those are some of the internal, we've started to realize, I made a mistake when I first started branding this place because I think I was using operational sort of elements to brand it externally. So nobody needs to know that the party has great drinks. Like, we don't need to talk about that. And that was my tendency as an operations person, is talk too much about the features instead of the benefits. So that we're going to change those to back of house. We're going to now talk about the fun of the party. Culture. We probably need to have more conversations about culture.
Are you planning on hosting anything here to try and get more people in through the building and through the door?
Yeah, there's a lot of elements surrounding this business, and we're kind of a startup, so we are limited on people, but the hosting of events is at the backbone of what we do because it brings people together. And so we've been open for 4 months, and we had our grand opening, which drove a whole bunch of customers, and we've been kind of poor at holding events. We hold internal events, but we're now going to go on high gear on events. The events generally are going to be technology related because we can't deny that it's changing our life, and it's got a lot of amazing positive elements. So we can have topics on anything, but we're forward thinking here. We're not looking
How
at
to host a live.
Yeah.
Can we do that one?
How to keep a podcast rolling.
But I mean, truthfully, if you look at this is technology that captures our spirit. There's lots of learning. This might not sound great, but it's so powerful.
You know, the fact that we're doing it is great.
Yeah.
I mean, because we weren't doing it 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, and so if it's not perfect, it's on the pursuit of it.
And you know what? Sometimes there's a right time to do something. You know, and I feel like today's
Like
the
now.
day. It was today.
It always tends to work out like that.
There's some natural energy that I think flows in a way that we can just accept. Because the other way, you stress, you worry, and all those things happen. Those aren't good. So I'm ready today. I was ready for this today.
Right.
But I'm glad you pushed me too, because I probably would have put it off even longer.
Well, sometimes it's easy. We need those people in our life, right?
I've definitely learned the last year to really push myself out of the boundaries. I think really starting Level Up talks to that. So when people like Noah come out to me and say like, hey, you want to do this interview, you want to do live, like in my gut I say, no, don't do it. Like, that's too scary, I don't know anything about technology. Instantly out of my mouth was, absolutely, I'd love to. And then I go, oh my God, how are we going to figure this out? But like, you got to
sometimes
push
that's
the
the
boundaries.
step, right? Is just saying yes, and then you figure it out, and then you just FUBAR kind of the whole thing, and you feel more comfortable the next time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the lesson last time that I got out of it. I mean, had I known that we were going to, for sure, I would have maybe been like, okay. But now that we have, and it's okay, and I feel more confident next time. Way easier.
Yeah, and I did the John Asraf interview and was terrified about that, and learned the whole thing in that process as well, technology-wise.
Yeah.
And you just learn. You got to push the boundaries to keep yourself growing. Or life's boring.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, had we waited for all of the perfect equipment, because this is really nice setup, by the way. I mean, I'm excited.
Awesome.
I'm excited to hear. Neither do I. I'm excited. I mean, we fiddled around with it for 10 minutes before, maybe much longer than that. But once we figured it out, it was quite simple, I think. Hopefully it'll sound good. But the fact that we're just doing it, rather than waiting to be experts in it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we would have never gotten started if we had to get this.
No,
right?
by
Or
the
just
time
would
that
have
you're
taken
an
too long.
expert in it, there's new technology out,
Yeah.
right? So it's, you just gotta move.
I just noticed too, not to upset anybody, but I noticed I didn't have record on my camera.
Oh my God.
Well, thank God we have the live setup because
Lesson
we had
one.
lesson 7 from today. You know, technology. You almost need someone in charge. Certainly, someone that has a better memory than I do of execution. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We were talking about that earlier, Dave, about whether or not you need to be an expert or great at something in order to find, joy. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I believe we all have unique skills. Every person has some thing that they're very good at. Figuring it out and finding it out takes time.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe being good at something and being acknowledged for it is still a human requirement. We enjoy the social side of being acknowledged. So, I don't really know what my talent is, but I kind of embrace that it's kind of enjoying environments and people and problems and I'll truthfully, I'm a project manager by heart, which is a person that's not technically gifted at anything, but sort of gets good people together and makes sure that everyone's communicated clear on what we're trying to do, and we try to deliver a great project. So I love project management, and so I'm kind of the guy that just likes to rally people, gets all their talents leveraged, and then we win at the end, and then we go on to the next project. So
is that self-fulfilling too, in a way that there's always something new?
Yeah, projects are fresh. You know?
They have a start and an end date. I think I've realized that about myself, is I like projects. I like to do something until I feel like it's filled me, accomplished, and then it's like, okay, what's the new thing? Like I like to see things that for the first time.
Well, I think the industries that we're in, all of us, if you look at a real estate deal, there's a beginning and an end. There's always something unique about it. There's always, every deal has usually something that's different.
Yeah.
You know, a client is always going to be unique in its fashion. And so the world are built on, are made up of projects. And some organizations are adopting that mentality of their project-based. Right?
Yeah.
So, and it always requires good communication.
I was thinking about something the other day, like, I don't know why there isn't an app called Passion Projects or something like that. I mean, I have a passion for this, and this company needs it. I can tap into it almost like freelance or whatever. But I thought that would be a cool thing to have access to.
Definitely.
Being able to be involved in projects that are important.
Yeah, absolutely. In different organizations, because organizations don't have always the expertise in-house or even the right people, because we're all different and we all love to do different things. So it's nice to have maybe even fresh people too. So anyway, so it's just something.
Well, that's happening. Projects are getting distributed, and so you could pick a project, like if you had a skill set that they needed, you just pitch it to them and you're part of it. So that's the exciting part, is that work is getting executed totally differently. And location independence is very real now, meaning you get to live where you want and still work on things that are important and lucrative and challenging. So that's why we're here in Kingston, is that we believe the size of the city is perfect and the quality of life's wonderful, and that you can work on projects that are global. So we're doing this. I have a belief that mid-sized cities are a wonderful quality of life, and we're seeing it, that people are.
And are they underserved from a co-working perspective?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you say mid-sized cities and not large cities?
I think it's a balance. You know, it's like anything in life. You can work out, but if you decide to, get too big, it's, you can't, there's a limitation. So it's balance. It's having good restaurants and easy access to work in a yard and close to your folks, and then still being able to go see a show. So it's that combination. It's just a beautifully balanced sort of combination of services and things.
I tend to like it. I think there's lots of people that still love the big city, and that's great. But I think it's true that the smaller communities are underserved in a lot of different aspects, right? Because for a business, it's hard sometimes traditionally to have the ROI that it otherwise would be in a large center.
Yeah, what I found interesting when I moved to Toronto when I was in my 20s, when I lived there for 2 years, is that you could be we were right in the heart of Toronto, Yonge and Eglinton, just down from downtown, and But what I found was you became a community in that community. So, there was a grocery store close by that you went to. There was the same restaurants that we went to. It was no different than really living in a small town. I was living in a small part of Toronto. And so I think we maybe underestimate the value of that and putting a space like this maybe right in the heart of a big city, because I think that people like the community environment. They might be in a big city, but the bigger the city, the smaller you actually feel. And the more demand there is for a workspace like this where you get to know people in your office, and there's that open workspace and work environment where you can be meeting people, because we're in the land of social media and people stuck on their phones and really not communicating person to person. I think that need and that desire is coming back, where I think that's really great, because I think these big office spaces, you go into your cubicle and you go home. There's not, they're starting to change that, but a lot of these big offices, that's how the dynamic is worked out. So the person beside you on your left and right. I'm reading a book right now. It's called How to Put Up with Assholes. And
For my weekly meeting with Brad.
And one of the things that they were talking about is if you have somebody that's being an ass and they're right in the cubicle next to you, it's very difficult. But if you shift them even 3 to 6 feet away, and like a couple cubicles over, they won't affect you as profoundly.
Just energy.
So just energetically and just like moving that much further away. So I think, these companies, you're going to your little space and you're leaving and there's not much interaction happening. So I love this space because you do have a space that when you want to have the company, you could go out and you can sit in the lounge area and chit chat and meet new people, which I think is really cool.
Well, I think the bigger shift that we're really focusing on is organizations are starting to see that work from home has some positive elements to it, and it also has some limitations. And so these big organizations in Toronto, people get to be their early 30s or whatever point, and they're like, well, I'd like to leave, and they're letting them leave, which is fine, and keep their job. Then they end up working from home or coffee shops, and they hit that limit. So what we believe, if I was to organize a company today, it would have a work from home system, but it would use something like co-working on a 2 to 3 day model, meaning you're at home 2 days or 3 days, but you're out here 2 days, meeting people, finding out what you're working on. So
what's your thesis on why that's important?
I believe that working from home is actually probably one of the most focused environments, as long as you don't get too distracted. But I believe getting out and interacting is key.
I agree. I mean, it's one of the elements I love about
There's no replacing human interaction. We're not, AR won't do it, VR, none of it. There is being together has an energy to it that's important. So, and then the cross sort of cultural and fertilization that takes place here, being around people in entirely different industries is powerful because they have a totally different perspective. So they can sometimes help you see a problem from a different angle. I think it's all about choice. I think if you want to live, we should be able to choose what we want to do, and that's really what it comes down to: is choose where you want to live and choose what you want to do, and hopefully
pursuit of happiness.
And the technology is allowing us to do that. It was much more difficult to say, well, I do want to make quite a bit of money, but I want to live in the bush. Well, theoretically now, you can do that. You can live where you want. If you have technology, really does free us to do some pretty amazing stuff. So, I think places like Kingston have a huge opportunity to attract talent that really want to be here.
Have you started to try to define success for yourself?
No, I don't know. I think I'm happy because I've listened to how I feel and pursued some things that matter to me. Success, I don't know, it's an interesting word. I'm not too hung up on it. It's one of those things that I don't think you have to worry about. I think if you focus on what you love and you work hard, the other things will come. So I don't have any definition of how much money I need to make and where
That sounded like a definition of success to me.
Yeah, some things I don't worry about. I just stopped. It was just another piece of noise that I didn't need. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to be honest. I'm trying to work hard. And the rest will figure itself out. Because the truth is I could come up against a physical ailment. I could lose a child. All these things that I can't anticipate. So why would I try to define something that I can't control? I'm just happy I'm here with you right now, and I'm fortunate. I'm successful right now.
Sure.
Like, how can I define? You know, I can't deny that I've been fortunate.
I think that is the definition for you. I think everybody might have a slightly different definition, and we shouldn't get hung up on what yours is versus mine and whatnot. But if you are truly happy with the results that you're getting, then that sounds pretty successful to me.
I think most entrepreneurs don't really look at success. They have like tasks and goals, and as soon as you hit it, you just whip right by and go, what's the next goal? What's the next task? So I don't know if you ever, I feel grateful, I feel lucky every day, but I never monitor like success on a certain level, because as soon as I hit that level, I want to blow right past it.
Yeah.
And I think that's most entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
I think that's just the mindset of an
But even
entrepreneur.
going beyond entrepreneurs, because again, that's your definition, and I think that's great. As long as that's fulfilling you and that's making you happy. But success, I mean, shouldn't be strung to your work either, right? It should be way beyond, in my
Health,
definition,
family,
all of those things.
all of it, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
I think it's
I personally identify with your definition. So you say you don't have one? I don't know. That sounded pretty good to me.
Well, and the
don't
danger
either.
that entrepreneurs have is
totally
that we're always racing after the next thing. And the thing that I've noticed is that if we're not aware, we're missing things in the moment.
Yes.
We're missing.
There's the key right there.
Yeah, we're missing how our customers are reacting, how our friends are reacting, how our family's reacting. So I really do try to stay grounded right now, and I believe that if I focus on delivering an experience that's amazing right now, the
That's
rest will
success.
figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't care about the rest. I'm just trying to stay here. Because
Yeah.
your brain has that tendency to always be chasing something else. And the truth is, my parents never had a strategic plan. They never had any of that stuff. And it never made sense to me, because my younger version was like, we gotta have a plan. You gotta know what you're doing. And they said, no, we don't. We try to be good people. We go to work hard, and we're intelligent. We make mistakes, and we keep going. And they built an amazing life. So I certainly know my parents are much smarter than I. That's the other thing about maturing is probably a bigger conversation. Is accepting that our parents might be a little smarter than we thought, but also not maybe the life we want. So it doesn't have to be exactly the way they did it. But I'm simplifying much more. I'm finding more profound impacts if I just sort of focus on sort of right now, try to be a good person, accept that I'm not perfect, and whatever it is, I just let go of control.
Yeah.
I don't have some grandiose plan, but there's something inside of me that wants to keep doing this, and that whatever that is, I just let it happen. I do want more, but is it because I want a boat and a truck? And I don't care.
Yeah.
At the same time, if we all did something amazing and we got to drive an awesome car, that's a symbol of success.
Yeah.
It's a trophy.
Well, in this society, it is.
But that's not why. If my goal,
This is getting good.
my goal is to be wealthy financially, but do it without being evil and having fun. Like, I would love to be able to say, because my mom and dad did it. They built quite a big business, but they're still well regarded. They volunteer, they're kind, they're amazing grandparents. So I have a vision, I think, that I would love to build a big company where people make lots of money, but we're not evil.
Is it possible?
I think so.
Some of your parents?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, business is still tough. There's tough decisions that have to get made.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there might be people that don't like me along the way, but generally I have a goal of trying to be good and wealthy.
Right. Well, I think sometimes, obviously, when you make tough decisions or any decisions, not everybody's going to agree with them. But as long as it doesn't have a malice intent, I think that's the
You can't be
important thing,
everybody's
right?
cup of tea. There's always going to
Well,
be
not
people that
everybody's
don't
gonna, yeah.
like you, period. Whether
Yeah.
you're successful, not successful, running a business, not running a business, there's going to be people that like you and people that don't, period. You can't worry about it.
Yeah.
I think the level of maturity is not worrying what other people think anymore. And when you let go of your ego and you let go of that, oh my God, magic happens.
Yeah, it's the toughest
Magic
thing.
happens,
I find my ego gets in the way as a result of fear.
Yeah.
Like, that's where my ego is the biggest, is that what will people
Fear of
think?
failure.
Yeah, what will people think if I do this? It goes against the grain of what is normal. Do I want those trophies like the Ferrari and those types of things? Not as much as some other people. So am I afraid of those types of things?
I think the key is to stay aligned. You know, what you're saying is like, I love what I'm doing. It's aligned with me. I get up. It inspires me. And as long as it keeps doing that for you, keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not doing it for you, stop.
Mm-hmm.
And don't let your ego stop you from getting in alignment. Stay focused on that. Wake up every day saying, does this feel good? Yeah, it feels good. Then keep doing it. Does this feel not good? No.
Mm-hmm.
So stop doing it. You got to pivot. You got to know and start paying attention to those things, because this might feel really good right now, but in 10 years from now, this might not excite you anymore. You got to move on to the next project.
Yeah, I think Dave said something important that resonates with me, is that he stopped thinking about like the way down the road kind of thing, of it being more
Here
present, because it can be very cumbersome and it can hold you back, similarly to what we were talking about earlier about technology and just getting started, just to start where you are. Not to worry about it being all polished, but just to start moving forward. If you would have had a bigger vision, and I know you have a big vision for Fractal or any of our businesses or what we do, it just wouldn't get out of first gear.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be open to change and obviously molding things as you go, or you just never get started. And that's what I know for me, watching Fractal evolve has been a good representation of that.
And you didn't know how everything was going to line up. You don't need to. Just take it one step at a time. It's like the car driving through the road at night, you know, with their lights. They can only see 300 feet, but they get from point A to point B.
You were kind of just
keep
softly
moving.
talking about it, earlier. You just said you don't have to worry about the how. You didn't say it loud, but I totally agree with that. And it's more about pursuing the why and that passion of, you know, why does it come back to, I know, just hosting parties and having people get together and seeing them succeed. I've heard you talk about those things, Dave, and I know that those are the things, you know, that we can all take lessons from, is just kind of pursuing that purpose and that passion and what fills your cup, because as a result, you'll fill other people.
And enjoy the journey along the way. For a long time, I just went from one goal. I'd hit the goal. I wouldn't even take a breath. I wouldn't even absorb it. I'd go, yeah, okay, great. I hit this huge goal, and I just kept on moving. And you got to really breathe it in and enjoy the journey along the way, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, that's the great part about the growth and the moving forward and the progressing.
Yeah.
That's success.
Yeah. Great people here too, Dave. I mean, right?
It's the whole environment. You want to talk about environment? You could put the prettiest pictures on the wall. If there's no one here, it's pretty pointless.
Yeah.
So the energy out of this place and the people that I've met, truthfully, that has been the gift that I've created some sort of spot where people come and I get to meet all these spectacular people, and Kingston has some spectacular people.
Is that the selfish side of things? Like, you've created this environment for others, but at the same time, it's filling you up. Is that really what it's about for you?
I didn't know exactly. I mean, but it's become a massively fulfilling
But is that why
thing.
you've always liked hosting parties?
Probably. I'm not very good at self-identifying exactly why I do things, but I do get joy of people feeling comfortable. Maybe because I did feel uncomfortable in my previous life.
Yeah.
I had this odd kind of introverted extrovert. I didn't know who I was. So I'm probably trying to help people through what I was going through.
Yeah.
And I love, and then I know personally.
Your message.
Yeah, your message.
Your message.
Yeah, what you went through is oftentimes where your strength, or what you can actually add a lot of value in people's lives.
Yeah. And to see how everything else happens when they're happy and they're in, because they all have some environment where we enjoy. Like if it's, because the party we used to host really was the motivation is that we created a volleyball court, and so you can see people were happiest when they were being physically active. And there was others that were happiest when they were just sitting and relaxing, or they were happiest when they could go on a 4-wheel ride. So whatever that was, the magic that came out of it was spectacular. And then what I noticed is at the end of the day, they were all on the dance floor. So we all have that inherent need to be individually comfortable, but then collectively
I hope
social.
business owners are listening.
Yeah.
Because I think that's so important.
Yeah,
The work
so
environment, like vital for performance.
I'm recognizing that everybody's different. We don't all like the same things, you know? Not everybody likes a BMW. Some people like an Audi or a Hyundai or whatever, and that's okay. Everybody's different and is going to get different things out of this space, get different things out of this business, our business. It's learning how to be moldable and flexibility. Flexibility is key, I think, with any
It's the
business.
backbone of what we do.
Yeah.
Because it is in the spirit of being individually comfortable. Co-working, it didn't really even entertain that you work in a certain fashion and you work in a different fashion.
Yeah.
We are totally committed to that, where we try to understand how to change desk sizes and how to change chairs, and we're all
I love
individual. And co-working is not. It's like, here's your desk, this is what you did. And it's just like, I looked at it, I'm like, this is archaic. It's amateur.
But that's why I identify, and I think so many other people will, with Fractal and the brand, is that it's not it's more than just the letters on the wall. It's actually tied to a person.
Mm-hmm.
This started as a result of who you were, and it's in the fabric, whether you know, well, I'd stop recording, but whether or not, you know, you feel that way, but I know certainly I do. I know that's why I'm attracted to the space, and I'm almost certain most other people are too. It's as a result of somebody's vision of, you know, what made them feel good.
I think at the core, it's because you're highly focused and sensitive on the details. And I think that's what makes any great business really fantastic, is you're focused on the details. You're not just looking at it from your ego and what you like, but you're really getting down to, it's not about me. It's about other people and what their experiences are.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good, simple approach to business, is that don't make it about you.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
we're obsessed with customers here, and I know that we've had the conversation about employees versus customers, and I think it's both. We approach it from the same. We approach employees as an individual person that obviously is part of a collective. That we need to do something for a customer, but we try to entertain that employees are unique, but it is all about the customer.
Yeah.
That you can come to work and have a bad day, and we want to know that. And if we have a big event on, we got to find a way to shake it off and get it done. So we are obsessed about customers here, but we're also obsessed about your individual nature. So it's that kind of both, where you have to be okay with who you are, but truly obsess about what customers want.
That's our tagline, putting our clients first. And we live, breathe, eat, and sleep it. Like, no matter what, we always put the client first, before the dollar, before anything. We talk them out of houses, we talk them out of listing. You know, we're always putting them first. And I think when you have that business model, it's naturally going to grow and be successful.
It's probably not a business model, it's probably an attitude. It's probably a belief system. It's not a business.
Yeah.
Do you do that
But I
on a
think that
daily
is the
basis?
business. I think that, I
Do you
mean,
generally want to help people? Like, if you want to bend over and help someone, then you're that
hold the
person.
door for someone. all
That's
that
the
kind
whole
of
thing
stuff.
of like, well, am I just doing this to make money, or is this who I am?
Right.
So we're trying to hire people who truly align with that, I think the rest will take care of itself. It's back to that old simple approach, and that's why we're trying to learn how to boil it down to the basics. So when we hire someone, we're not even worried about technical skills.
But don't you think that business gets lost in, I mean, that's what we talk about, and then we get lost in the numbers again, or the bottom
Well, I
line,
think
and all those
you have
types
to
of
be
things.
profitable. Let's face reality here. Like, you know, you have to be profitable. So there is a bit of a fine line, but I think it can be accomplished. Without a doubt.
Well, I gave shares to a CFO. So at the backbone of all our business decisions is finance. That doesn't mean we're obsessed about money. It's that we need to understand how our decisions affect finances.
The clients can be happy, but if you're not making money,
Yeah.
then you're not going to be able to make the clients
Right.
happy, because you won't have a business.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
even
Or even if
Yeah.
we can fit in, like if we're losing money on a certain product, but it fits into a bigger strategy, we're aware of that.
Right.
It's the-
Well, it could be looked at as an investment at that point, right? I mean,
But then we can look
there's
at it and
some
go,
costs
it
that
loses
come along.
money and no one cares about it. We drop that.
Right,
product.
sure.
So it's just
Absolutely.
intelligent business
Yeah.
management.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
doesn't mean you're obsessed about finances, but they have to be in the context of money.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think,
Yes.
I mean, one of the things, I mean, we were talking about, and I think it relates, is that, you know, how impactful, this is a big segue, but, you know, even taking care of your physical self, of how much that impacts other areas, right? And so it's a similar, I think, thing in that, you know, if you have things in your business that are important over here to focus on, and you might not see the connection, but how important your mental health is to your physical health, and et cetera,
To your
et cetera.
business,
Yeah,
to your
business,
family,
yeah.
to relationships, to everything, right?
Yeah.
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 That's maybe a topic for next time.
What do you have any questions or anything that you wanted to add?
No, I just think what you guys are doing is really important. Whatever we're doing right now, talking about work and life and mental health and physical health, it's just a good conversation. So thank you for facilitating this. It's really important.
Yeah, well, thanks for the invitation.
Yes,
I
thank
know.
you.
Come back anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love your
awesome.
space. Thanks.
Sweet, thanks.
Bye.
See ya.